What I'm standing in front of is a case study. At first glance, this might seem like your normal everyday 2019 Ford Edge Titanium. But the problem is Ford axed all of their cars last year, or they made the announcement that they're going to by, I believe, 2020, 2021, in favor of crossovers, SUVs, trucks, and vans, save the Mustang. That's pretty much the only car they're going to produce in the future, according to their announcement. So we have to take that at face value. This is the case study right here, the 2019 Ford Edge Titanium, one of their best-selling crossovers. And I'm here today to tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And I'm here to answer the question, did Ford really make the right decision? Let's find out. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Gregson and welcome to Shifting Lanes and welcome to another car review. This is a 2019 Ford Edge Titanium, and as I said, this is Ford's crossover. This is their large crossover. This sits right between the Explorer and the Escape as far as size is concerned, and it's pretty handsome. So before we get in and go for a drive, I wanted to take a quick walk around the car, give you a few technical specs, then get inside, go for a drive, and tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's go over these specifications to tell you exactly what trim and what I am driving. This 2019 Ford Edge Titanium is well equipped. It comes with ruby red paint as standard. It has the cold weather package, which includes heated steering wheel, floor liners front and rear, windshield wiper de-icer, heated front seats, heated rear seats. It has a B&O Play premium audio system, blind spot monitoring system, Ford Connect Wi-Fi, intelligent access with push-button start, lane keeping assist, pre-collision assist, wireless phone charging, rear view camera, remote start system. It has a 3-year, 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. With all of these options, you can expect to pay $47,585 for this vehicle as optioned, including a $995 destination and delivery charge. As far as performance specs, we have a twin-scroll 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine that produces 250 horsepower at 5,500 RPM. It has a max towing capacity of 1,500 pounds, all-wheel drive, an 8-speed automatic with select shift with an EPA estimated fuel economy of 22 city and 29 highway. So as you can see, this vehicle is very well equipped. And before I freeze my tail off, because it is a balmy 15 degrees here in northern New Jersey with a ton of snow around me, let's start with the first good point of this car is the exterior. This is finished in ruby red, as I said, and it looks really, really nice. It's quite a handsome vehicle. I think that a lot of the exterior really brings you into the car and the interior sells the car is very true, especially in the auto industry. It's true also in the housing industry, but the curb appeal of this car is very, very nice. I think it's quite handsome. And with that said, let's hop in because it is frigid out here and we can take a look at what the inside and interior amenities look like. So, the first thing you notice when you get in this cabin is it's actually a really nice place to be. I definitely would consider purchasing this car based on the interior alone. It's really comfortable. The center stack is nicely laid out. There's leather, there's, soft touch plastics and rubbers all over the place, and nice contrast stitching in a few places. It's not overly done, but it's not too basic. So I'm a big fan of that, and I think that Ford sort of did a really nice job at sort of hitting it out of the park, I think. So with that being said, let's get going and let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly as we roll away. Now, being an enthusiast, and if you're familiar with this channel, we are enthusiasts here, we tend to really go towards sports cars. We really tend to go towards things that the normal consumer does not. So with that in mind, you would think that personally I would not have a lot of good to say about this car, but you would be very wrong because I think there's a lot of good to this car. I call it a car because it's trying to replace cars. So if I call it a car and you guys are triggered for that, I'm sorry. If you wanted me to refer to it as a crossover or an SUV, I just can't do that because this is a car. This is what Ford is trying to say is a car now. So with that being said, let's get into the good. as I said, this is a really nicely laid out cabin. The panoramic sunroof is a really nice touch. I had my son in the back seat, as you could probably see. The car seat is still set up back there, and he absolutely loved looking out the panoramic sunroof when we took him for a ride in this. There's ample space in the back room for car seats. There's ample space in the front for front passengers and the driver. It's just a great place to be as far as space is concerned, layout is concerned. So if the outside draws you in, as I had mentioned, and the inside is what really sells the car, I think that Ford did a really nice job of selling this car from the outside and in. I think it's handsome. I think it looks vastly better than the last generation, which was basically just a rolling egg. This is a lot more angular, it's a lot more handsome, it's a lot more upscale than the old one used to be. Another good of this is ride quality. Now, I'm taking this on a back road near me in New Jersey, and it's a little pitted, but it's also smooth in areas, so you get a nice contrast of what your ride quality is like, and the ride quality is quite good. This rides on 20-inch wheels with 245 section 50 R20 tires. So yeah, it's a decent amount of sidewall. It's not too huge of a wheel. It looks appropriate for the car's size, and I think that the ride quality is quite nice. It's very smooth on the highway. It's very composed. In turns, it's not a sports car by any stretch of the imagination, but the handling aspects, the ride quality, all of that is right on par with where you would want it to be for what it is. The steering is weighty. It's not too light. It does not feel like there's a ton of disconnection from the road. There's obviously not a lot of connection to the road. You don't feel a lot of feedback within the wheel itself, but the road feedback as far as body roll and control of the car is quite good. Another good of this car, and I mentioned it at the beginning, is the color. I love when OEMs and manufacturers offer more colors than just black, white, and other monochrome stuff. It is great to see colors like red and bright blue and deep greens on cars these days, because if you go into any parking lot in a mall across America, it's just basically black and white, silver, gray, and it's just boring. It's so boring. So if I were to purchase this car, I would definitely get it with this ruby red. It's really nice and sets off the angles of the car quite nicely. So another good of this car is the space. Now, a lot of crossovers and cars and hatchbacks and what have you are going to these sort of angular rear ends, and this one does have it, but there's a decent amount of space in the trunk, and it also has the foot liftgate, where if you wave your foot under the back bumper, you can actually open the trunk, and that's a really cool feature. I've always loved it since Ford came out with it, and it's just really nice to have if you have an arm full of groceries or things, boxes, whatever. You just put your foot underneath, the tailgate lifts up, and you get your space and your trunk, which is super nice. The amount of trunk space on the floor is very good. That is where the good ends in this car, because for all the good that Ford did put into this from Gen 1 to Gen 2, there is a lot of bad things. The first thing I will say is the driving position of this car. It is severely strange, because with crossovers, you have a lot of cab-forward design. Cab-forward design is where you have the rake of the windshield is a lot like a car. You want to have that very not a steep angle like a Jeep Wrangler would, which is basically like a flat windshield. You have it sort of coming over your head in a very aerodynamic way to reduce wind friction, to increase slipperiness and aerodynamic ability, and also to give that sort of feeling that you're driving a car as well. So with what this car does is it does that, and it does that well, but the problem is the nose and the dashboard then put you so far back from the nose of the actual vehicle that I feel like I'm driving a 1970s Cadillac, and that is really not good. I feel a very big disconnect from where the front of this car is, and that's fine, and I'm not pushed all the way up my seat. If I go all the way up, like to the ceiling, yeah, I can see the nose a little bit better, but that's not where I sit. I'm not a tall person, but I really don't like it. Even not just from a vision standpoint. There's good vision actually in this car all around, but the problem is this dashboard is just enormous. It's almost 2 feet deep, which is a tremendous amount of dash and board. It's so much. I just don't like it. The driving position is really, really bad. I feel like I'm driving the car from the back seat, and that leads me to be not confident in where the front of the car is and where I'm placing it in a turn. The other bad of this car, or another bad of this car, is going back to the engine. The engine does have enough power, but it sounds awful. It sounds like a gnat playing a kazoo. When you put your foot down, it just gets this ring, and it's just super annoying. There's no CVT in here. There's an 8-speed planetary gear set, but it does not sound good at all. I know this is not a car where you're trying to make it sound good. However, this just sounds way more anemic than it actually is. So I'm not a huge fan of that. It's not really aesthetically pleasing to the ears at all. So as I'm pulling onto the highway, this is a really good time to highlight another bad of this car, and that is the self-driving, which, by the way, doesn't exist. That's just a terminology that everyone's used to at this point. The, let's say, driver assist technology that you get in this car, it is plentiful, and Ford on their commercials boasts that it is the most available in class, which is true. However, most available does not translate to good. This system is not good. The lane keep assist is good. It does not bounce between lanes. It centers you quite nicely. It does take turns very, very well. The follow and distance and radar guided cruise control feature is atrocious. It is jerky. When you have someone braking in front of you very slowly, it continues to go, and then when you have your set distance, it mashes on the brakes and jerks everything forward. It's not as drastic as I'm describing it, but it is not good. I do not like it. It feels like it just wasn't thought through properly. I don't think it's a really good system as far as how it works, as far as how it does in traffic, especially in traffic. It's particularly bad in traffic. The last thing is the ugly of this car, and there's only one ugly of this car, and it's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Will this thing replace cars? And the ugly truth of that is no. No crossover, SUV, or anything like that will ever replace cars. Now, I'm a huge car fan, but I do see the utility in hatchbacks. I owned a WRX hatchback for 5 years. I think hatchbacks are wonderful. Do I think that cars can essentially be phased out? Yes, I absolutely do. However, replace them with wagons. Wagons have a lot more utility. You can get a lot more things in there. You're not crazy elevated off the ground. Crossovers and SUVs are the illusion of safety. Because you have a higher driving position does not mean that you're going to be safer. Sure, you may have a better command of the road, but it does not mean that you are safer. If you get T-boned by an 18-wheeler in a car or an SUV, that bad things will happen. Yes, you are a little safer in an accident between a GTI and an Explorer. Give you that one. But I don't think that this or any crossover made today will replace cars. Cars should stay because they're just better, I think. If you need something, get an SUV. Get the Explorer. I think a lot of these crossovers are sort of pointless. The BMW X4, BMW X6, this one I think is a little pointless too. There's a Ford Flex in my rearview mirror. Get a Ford Flex instead. That's basically like a lifted surf wagon, which I think is better looking than this. But you guys might not think that. I think the Flex is better looking than this. I think it's a cool car. I just don't see it. I know that the market is trending towards crossovers, but I don't think that the market is necessarily going to stay there. I think that there's going to be a huge gas uplift eventually where we need to have cars and small cars back again that give you 30-40 mpg from a gasoline engine. So in answer to that, the ugly truth of this car is it's not going to replace cars. However, if you're looking for something that is not a car that you want to explore and could be an interesting buy, I would say look at this. I think there's a compelling case for it for what it is. If Ford's trying to replace cars with this, I think that the case is for the SUV and for the car. Do one of those. Don't get this. But if you're looking for a car that is a little bit more spacious than a car, but isn't quite as big as an SUV, this is definitely the thing to get. I quite like this car. And actually, I'm coming up on an old Ford Edge right now in front of me, and my God, that thing is ugly. So yeah, I'm coming up to get back to work here on the highway, and it's quite composed. To kind of sum up this video, I really I do like the Edge Titanium overall. I personally wouldn't buy it or wouldn't need it because I have a car, I have a wagon, I have an SUV, and my wife has a small SUV. There's no need for us to have it. I think the car industry as a whole, with this hyper niching of different, well, niches, is sort of missing the point a little bit. You know, there's a wagon renaissance now happening in the United States. There's a hatchback renaissance happening. I think that focus more on that. Stop focusing on crossovers like this, and you will see sales go absolutely through the roof for different things. Overall, this car is really good. It's quiet on the highway. It's very smooth. It's a great commuter car. I'm getting 22.7 mpg as opposed to the 2229. I did about 80-20 city to highway driving, so it definitely hits right in where it's talking about as far as mpg is concerned. There are some things that are concerning, including the driver assistance systems, but as an overall package, I would give this an 85% out of 100. It's for how many, you know, bad cars there are out there these days, for manufacturers not really caring a lot, I think, about cars anymore. I think Ford is doing a good job of what they do well with the F-150, with the Explorer, with this, and with the Mustang. You know, cars may go away. They're probably going to go away with Ford, but I think that they at least have some solid products that they can replace them with. So overall, yes, you should definitely check out the Ford Edge if you're in the market for a crossover that is somewhere between a large car and a mid-sized SUV. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Gregson, and I will catch you next time. See ya.